All right, everybody, welcome to the WinterStuds. My name's Courtney. Over here to my right
is Jeff.
All right, the G-Man. Okay, so we are a couple of Canadian guys. We like talking, and so that's all I have. All right, so I'm just going to open one of these.
That is a Coca-Cola beer.
Yes.
We have that up in Canada here. That's how we train our kids to be so tolerant.
All right, Jeff, first topic we have, RERD versus LID.
Quite the odd topic. But,
RHD, right-hand drive cars versus left-hand drive cars. Oddly enough, you drive both cars with both your hands.
Yes.
You know what I would like to see? Is like, what do they call this thing right here? Your, like between your boobs? Between your boob drive. Just like, that's how you drive the McLaren F1. You sit in the middle and drive it by clenching your pecs.
That'd be kind of...
That'd be awesome. Arnie only. I want to drive your F1, McLaren.
That'd be interesting.
In order to engage fifth gear, you have to scream. No?
Possibly maybe different other phrases like get in the chopper.
Yeah, exactly.
Get in the chopper.
Get in the chopper. It's not a tumor. Engaging third gear. Anyways, yeah, we're a couple of Canadian guys. We like talking about cars. It's our first podcast. Hopefully more people give us ideas to talk about. We're just going to shoot from the hip today, and hopefully we'll get some more ideas next time. Basically working out the technical bugs.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. I basically bought some adapters for some adapters, and they basically plug into themselves. I could like make something on the floor where it's just adapters going in a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's up first? Right-hand drive versus left-hand drive. Jeff, you drive RHD. Tell us about it.
It's pretty much what everyone says. It gives me an orgasm every single time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It actually, kind of weird, but the car's from Japan.
15 years old? 16?
It's 18, 19
18,
years old.
19,
So it's
right
legal.
Good
so
stuff.
I do have sex with it.
That's actually, well, there's that YouTube series.
I don't want to know about that, but
it's crazy. So the biggest deal that people have is, are they safe? Are they inherently unsafe? Because now normally, when we're driving in a left-hand drive car, you're on the right side of the road, so the opposing traffic is closest to the driver.
Correct.
So that's inherently safe.
Yep.
So you gotta pop out. First thing you're gonna see is that other car coming to smash you and
basically, yeah.
send you to heaven. So now you pop out, and like half of your GTR is removed from the world before you see any cars. What do you do?
Well, if that does happen, you kind of scream a bit. I give that about an 8.
Was it? I don't know if that'll come through. I turned the mic away.
Oh, hopefully.
Yeah.
I think it might have echoed off the wall and kind of came back.
All right. So
for people who caught that, it was a burp. For those who didn't, it was a really awesome fart.
yeah, exactly. I'm not broadcasting. It's television. So
yeah.
You got to pull back or what? When you're trying to pass right-hand drive.
It's when you're trying to pass 2-lane highway. Obviously, it's not that bad. You can just make sure no one's behind you. For single-lane highways, which we have a lot of here, it's
otherwise known as residential streets.
Yes. It's pretty horrible.
Yeah.
The best thing that I do is you kind of pull back. And then what I try and do is if I can see around the car in front of me,
right,
I'll count the number of cars coming. I'll take down. It's the last one, a black car. Does
right.
it have HIDs?
Situational awareness, man. You become a jet fighter.
Basically, yeah. Especially down like street driving.
Right.
When I'm turning on a left-hand turn, I can't see anything in front of me. So before I get to the left-hand turn, I'll look ahead and see if there's any breaks in the traffic.
Yeah.
And okay, there is. What are the last 2 cars? Oh, one's like a Grand Marquis, and the other's a bike or something.
Well, the key thing to notice here is what you're doing is you're tracking like all the cars. You're like this. You've created like this mental radar of the surrounding area. You're like boop boop boop.
Which you know you also have to be very alert when driving these cars because. In this area, right-hand drive cars are becoming very common, so not many people are in awe of them anymore.
Right.
When I did have my right-hand drive car about 2 years ago, it stood out a lot. No one really knew about it. And
it doesn't take much, eh? The steering wheel's on the other side of the car. Oh my God!
no one's scared.
For the Oh God!
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I had a van full of kids beside me one time, and they were hanging out. They opened the sliding door, and then they kind of hung out with the other kid, holding the other kid.
Are you moving? Is this like on the highway?
This is on the main street here,
Okay.
So it wasn't too bad, but it was still like 60
like
kilometers
50?
an hour.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're taking pictures and they're giving me the thumbs up, and I'm like, "Oh, you guys are crazy!"
Be awesome. But how did your son die? He was hit by a light post, taking pictures of a steering wheel that was on the other side
exactly.
of an 18-year-old car.
So, for that, you have to be very aware of them because they're watching you. They're not watching the road ahead of you. So if there's a stopped car on their lane,
yep.
and they're not looking at that, I'm going to speed up or slow down for them
right.
so that they're going to veer into my lane and kill me, basically.
But this is a skill that, like, they talk about situational awareness with fighter pilots. Race car drivers have to have this.
Yep.
If you're, like, some people think NASCAR looks easy, but it's not, because how do you keep track of all those cars? Who looks like they're going to pass? Who's been drafting the guy, and you know he's going to pop out, so that when you pop out, you got to know that he could be on your tail. Same thing with you. Whereas a regular driver, just a regular guy in, BMW with wheels flying off of it randomly. So they're just looking at the car in front of them. Like they're basically chatting on the cell phone, whatever, eating their makeup, putting Slurpee on their face.
Yeah.
And they're not paying attention, whereas you basically have to make a mental 3D map of what's going on around you, and I think that makes you a safer driver.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
In that same kind of traffic situation, I hardly ever look at the car in front of me. Yeah. So I'm visually looking past them.
Right.
So in traffic, I'm looking past the car in front of me to see what the people in front of them are doing. So if I see brake lights coming on,
you brake before the other
I'm going to brake before the guy in front of me. I'm going to start slowing
sexy.
down. In the same situation, you use
hot,
peripheral vision.
It's hot. You brake before them.
I got a boner, but
I got a boner before you did because I have situational awareness.
Oh,
and I saw ahead of you.
You saw.
So
you saw my boner ahead of it. You pre-boned me.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Wow.
Anyways,
anywho, yeah. So if you want to be a safer driver, that's how I do it. A good one that I always use is streetlights. If you're driving inside the city.
I'm glad you use streetlights.
Yeah, I try not to, but sometimes you have to. What I'll do is, this worked a lot in Orlando just because of the way that they put their streetlights. Here, kind of the same thing.
Right.
If you're coming up to a streetlight, let's say it's raining, so it's extra dangerous.
Right.
Or even winter, that kind of context where it's not going to be easy to stop very quick.
Right.
What I'll do is, if there's cars in front of me, or even if there's not, you're kind of at the moment where you're not sure, is the light going to change, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
When I start getting up to the light, or even far back, I'll look at kind of like the crosswalk symbol.
Okay.
So if there's a dude saying,
good.
You can go, it's like, okay, well, it's not going to change anytime soon on me, so I can go straight.
This is a good thing about the crosswalk thing. Before I forget, a long time ago, I can't remember where I figured this out. It may have just been because I had no friends, but 13 flashes.
And, a good thing, I did this in Orlando. One day I just sat there and I watched them, and I counted exactly.
Right.
Down there it's a bit different. It flashes, and then after it goes solid, it waits about 5 seconds, and then the light turns. Yeah,
exactly. But you got a good 13. If it goes solid, you got no chance because it's
exactly.
Go,
and that way you can start pre-braking. Here up, in winter, you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you're in, say, a truck like what I have, where as soon as it locks up or anything, you're just going to keep sliding.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very dangerous situation. So, knowing what's coming ahead is very good.
Yeah.
So if you don't do that currently, maybe start doing that. Just kind of just start noticing it. That's how I drive, but no one, don't have to, obviously.
Yeah, like in my mind, as a typical guy who likes performance cars, we all like to think that being slow doesn't necessarily make you a good driver. There are other skills. That right there is a good example of a skill that makes you a better driver, and in my mind, a better person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.